ProfessionalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. Happy Friday, TGIF to you all. It is, where are we here? I think it's about the first or second week of June. Here we are, June 9th, 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying the fun. In the market, kind of a tough slog. I guess we're halfway through the year of 2023. And unfortunately, actually, we've had pretty much a straight up first half to this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of down here for a chunk of the remainder of this year. So be forewarned. Actually, it was interesting to see that the S&P 500 breadth here actually rolled over and flashed a sell signal. I guess we're going to lose Julian's Thursday broadcast live, which I guess kind of makes sense. 11, 12 o'clock at night. That's not really very fair for him. So we might maybe just do like a pre-recorded piece on Thursdays. Anyway, we'll figure out some sort of plan going forward. And judging by the number of viewers that we see here, I don't even know whether this is really in our best interest to continue doing this. I would have thought that the information that we're giving would have created a following, and this would have gone viral after 5-10 years of doing this. But I love all you core members. Hugs and kisses. You guys are awesome. Yeah, we probably have to rethink strategy on all of this. Anyway, great part about it is the algo, as Julian was pointing out, the algo signals seem to be spot on. If anything, I don't really want to show the proprietary stuff on these free videos on a regular basis. What I really would like you to do is subscribe. It's cost a lot of money to get this development done, build this website out. So it's not like the money's going into my pocket. It's just literally goes straight into development. But anyway, that's here nor there. Point here is, the algo wise, we're actually on the sidelines in crypto. And if the stocks are actually flashing an algo sell signal, that means both of them would be on the bear side. And that's usually a little dangerous when both are pointing the same direction. So anyway, we'll see how that goes over time. This free 30-minute video that we do, and usually I go a little bit over, supposed to just sort of talk about like what's going on in the news, what's going on in the econs, anything really trading of note. I think I've shown you guys through the year, I've been trying to be sort of the demonstrator of best practices. What does a, professional actually really not even just day trader, but like money manager life look like in the market, just day in, day out. Hopefully you see the same routine over and over and over. This is what we would ideally like to teach students, kind of the behavioral patterns. So as you can see, I got a whole bunch of different trading plans that I'm all running, but I summarize it here off of my daily checklist. So computer's actually operating pretty good. Diet's okay. Exercise, oh man, my shoulder is just absolutely killing me. So I still think that I got poisoned from those vaccines, and it's basically stayed with me. I've never had these kind of issues in my life before, but it's definitely with me now always, and it has been since the day I got those stupid booster shots a year ago. Sleep was a little bit better, but I forced myself to go to bed very, very early to force myself to try and get like a good 6-7 hours of sleep in between all the tossing and turning over the pain that I live with. So anyway, there's my life for you in a nutshell. But was up relatively early. Didn't have an opening range trade in crude today. We were inside previous range, so nothing to do there. Quick glance at the econs and the headlines first thing this morning. Canadian unemployment rates rise more than expected. Um, suppose the one, like Canada for the longest time was always considered sort of the exporting nation. We're heavy, heavy commodities. This idiot substitute drama teacher is trying to absolutely kill that side of our economy. Why? I don't know. What's really scary is that they've literally brought in like 1 million new people into my country. And like here in the lower mainland, for example, there is no industry here. We're an exporting nation. And if the leaders of the country went and kill the the markets that are being exported, what the heck happens to this society? It's extremely dangerous, I'll tell you that much. And what I'm really worried about here for a country like Canada is they brought all these people in here to try and mask over the fact that the economy should be rolling over. I've told you guys repeatedly, and I sure hope you guys write this stuff down. As of 2018, you should be short the commodity nations of the world. And the worst part about this is that for countries like Canada, what they're trying to do is inflate their way out of the problem. So it's like your prices themselves are not really going to move, but the standard of living of all the citizens is just slowly collapsing. So I mean, it's a sell, but you actually don't see the prices move. You just see the purchasing power of your currency collapsing. I think also too, the same story in Australia, another commodity country. And then there's the shit show of Russia. I mean, what a mess that joke of a nation is now. And what a shame, eh? I mean, they just literally willy-nilly go and blow up that dam and like literally whole, almost like little cities now. When you see the images of them, all of those people's homes, they're all underwater now, just washed away. Stunning what these humans can get away with. I was actually joking with a person the other day. The longer I live, the more I actually believe in the Muslims' theory that this is hell. And actually, we have to try and figure out a way to earn our way out of this hell. So PMA for the win. Try and make a positive difference in this world and in your lives. What a surprise. We got well, actually, look at that. We got 23 viewers. Hey, we're growing. It's a miracle. And then you go on the social media channels with the little bimbos that call hey, look at that tail. That's not a tail. That's an inverted wick. Oh, Jesus Christ. You crazy people. They get like 10,000 viewers. So anyway, so ironically enough, it makes perfect sense that this message is just not getting out because I'm trying to make a positive difference. I'm trying to tell you, you know what? Maybe just put your money away. This isn't really a good time to go and spend your money, right? And of course, the devil, hell, and all that kind of crap. They want you to go and spend your money, and then of course see the thing collapse, and your money disappears, and it's gone, and of course you continue to live in poverty. So anyway, crazy world. So and actually, okay, so enough of all that nonsense and rhetoric. And this is what often happens when I start talking about my country and the shit show of substitute drama teachers. I get down these damn tangents, and that's probably half the reason why you guys don't want to watch me. But anyway, so interesting to see Japan. Remember, we saw the other day, Japan had a huge down day, and now they're having a huge up day. So insane volatility coming into the market here. Absolutely insane. Yeah, it's a swing wick low. You remember that the other day? God, that was so funny. These people, and they, and they got like 10,000 views and sign up, buy my course, all that kind of crap, and they're swimming in money, and yet the people are just getting taught the wrong stuff. Anyway. So interesting to see how Japan actually rallied smartly here. And actually, I did notice Toyota Motor Company. Man, I love the look of that chart. The problem is I can't chase it now. I got my bids working down at the bottom end of the range, and I'm not allowed to chase. So if anything, I actually like the idea of the market pulling back here. But interesting commentary here on the absolute insane volatility of the market. But other than this Canadian employment data, really not a hell of a lot else news-wise today. They're talking about natural gas prices moving higher. Interesting how I think Julian actually is underwater. I don't know whether he mentioned his natural gas trade in yesterday's video, but I did go and pick up a little bit of that UNG, and I think it's basically sitting right at my entry level. Certainly nothing to tout, nothing to get excited about, but it is an interesting chart. There it is. 627. All right, so it's backed off from where I entered. I bought it right in the reload zone, the typical Brian trade. I do like the idea that this is a megaphone, but it's kind of interesting. So the news headlines, this is what they're talking about. That 20%, that's a 20% move. That's actually news headline worthy? I don't think so. But anyway, that's how slow the news day is. 20% on the week. Like, come on. You see the chart. There's nothing really going on there. Russia. God, I can't believe. I mean, just I can't. You almost look at what's happening there and you go, this can't be real. Like, how are they doing this? But anyway, poor Ukrainians. And if anything, what I'm kind of noticing here is I wonder, I have a funny feeling here, and somebody write this down, mark my words. Hey, look at that. We just lost like 8 viewers after my little rant there. They're like, Jesus, here he goes. He's going on about his damn politics. Anyway, one thing I kind of noticed in the news is I have a funny feeling, the way the world works is like this pendulum and it swings back and forth. And I have a funny feeling that the pendulum actually hit the maximum sort of distance in favor of Ukraine. Heard a couple news articles about number one, the Russians actually bombed a, a bunker and it killed a whole bunch of NATO officials. And yet you don't hear anything about it in the Western media, like total dead silence. So that's a bit of a surprise in that, and what a surprise, the media that we're being spoon fed completely ignores negative news. So, if anything, this is going to help the Russians say, that you're just completely biased and you're all being brainwashed in the West. You don't even know what's really going on. And then I saw yesterday, and it's kind of sad, but the Ukrainian army is basically cut from the same cloth as the Russian army. And this stupid Russian tactics of just literally, trying to bulldoze your way through enemy lines. And then, of course, their columns just walking into traps and getting slaughtered. The Ukrainian just did exactly the same strategy yesterday. Exactly the same strategy. So I was quite surprised at that, and a big column of Ukrainian soldiers and all these Western tanks and Western armored vehicles all getting destroyed, and the Russians just having a field day. Finally on Russian propaganda news, they're going to be like, hey, look at how awesome we are. Woo! So you wonder whether the pendulum just swung as far as it could in Ukraine's favor. And now with the floods and the destruction of that dam, and then the bunker being killed, and of course nobody in the West knows anything about this because our controlled Western media won't report it. And now the Ukrainian army is just basically doing exactly the same tactics that the Russians were doing, and getting like hundreds of thousands of their men killed. So anyway, interesting. Ebb and flow, ebb and flow. I wonder whether we just hit a high water mark there for Ukraine. It's a slow news day when we're talking about things like the Turkish lira. And actually, speaking of which, mind you, he's more German than Turkish, I think. But in the after party today, our special guest host is our level 2 instructor, or level 2 co-instructor, Murat. Hey, Murat, you want to say hi to these people, or are you like, oh, geez, I don't want to talk while you're blabbing away here, Brian?
If you want it, Brian, yes. Hello.
There he is. And the cool part about it
Yes.
is Murat
Hi,
is
guys.
he's super level-headed. He's a fantastic investor. He knows his TA like clockwork. So we should all be in for a really a fun treat here in the after party. So be sure to tune in for that. So anyway, the point of the matter here is very, very slow news day. But what's really going on here, like with this insane volatility that you're seeing in the market? And I think a really good example of that is I had a short set up in gold yesterday. And I think actually I clipped the market for a couple bucks into the close. So it wasn't a disaster. Yeah, there's the gold chart. But look at this insane volatility. They're just washing the both sides of the market here. It's just evil what they're doing. Look at this. So here was my top yesterday in the gold, and everybody should look at this and go, yeah, that's pretty typical Brian kind of stuff. Top end of the range, horizontal support and resistance. Income's a pretty little top, and of course, Brian shorting. And the end of this session came in, so we had to close out our positions and then overnight trading. And then first thing this morning, look at what these bastards did. So they ran the market up, washed all of the stops, got everybody uber bullish. Of course, in crypto, everybody was going like, man, 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 right? And then just slammed it down, ran all of any stops that might have been in place. And then, ironically enough, on the day, it's probably just going to be like a zero sum day where they don't do anything. So, really, really good lesson here in how absolutely almost, I hate to say it, but almost corrupt the market is. You want to see another example of the insane corruption? I report this basically on a weekly basis to you guys now, but once again, the option boys are at it again. So the key here is this is these are the weekly options. Of course, next week we have the big monthly options expiry. So that's going to be quite a shit show. We got the Fed Tuesday, Wednesday, and of course we'll have our fun little after party. Well, I don't know, after Fed or through Fed, I guess. We have our fun little get-togethers on social media, on YouTube and stuff. So be sure to see if you can participate in that. It's a lot of fun. Sort of watch how the market acts through the Fed and commentary and stuff, what to watch for and stuff. But next Friday is actually the big June options expiry. If you don't know this, probably a good idea to write it down. Third Friday of the month, and on there's four of them. That's why they call them quad. Um, March, June, September, and December. These are the big institutional contract months. A lot of institutional players trade those particular futures contracts and, of course, the options on those futures. So this is like a quadruple witching. This is a really big, big event in the derivatives market next Friday. So these numbers are, yeah, they're important, but they're not nearly as significant as next week. But, if Wall Street can make some free money at the public's expense, then what the hell? Why not? So, as I've told you repeatedly, puts, of course, like 90% of all puts are written by institutional players. This is the open interest, or the number of puts that have been, these are contracts between two individuals. So these are literally the number of contracts that have been opened up. And you can clearly see, they encourage the public to buy lots of like 426 puts, 425 puts, 427 puts, right? And you notice we get up into like 430 area, and look how the numbers just absolutely collapse. Now, these things make money, they're worth something if the price is below. This is what's called the strike price, or the actual price on the option contract, that there's actually value to the contract. So since this gives the owner, the purchaser, the right to sell an asset, if the price is above this strike price, then the option's worthless. You might as well just go sell it in the marketplace. So what a surprise. Notice we get above 430 here, and the open interest just disappears. All of these contracts, Wall Street encouraged the public to buy, and yet mysteriously above 430, the numbers just vanish. So if they can get the market to go out anywhere around this 430 area, all of these contracts all expire worthless. And oh, lo and behold, look at where we are. We're sitting right now 429.50. And gee whiz, this morning we were as high as 431.99. So, if they can get the market to close out anywhere around here, oh, and what a surprise. There's a big old fat Foggenbaum chaos level sitting right at this level as well. So my hunch is this is probably it for rally. Keep in mind, once we get into next week, we will be into Fed mode. And I haven't done it on this chart. It might be interesting to see what it looks like on the SPY. But you guys are all well and familiar with Brian's rants about how things like Bitcoin does following FOMC events, right? I mean, this one's perfect, right? Hey, we're a bull, we're a bull, we're a bull. FOMC comes, fuck you, down you go. And what I'm worried about is that these ones have actually been relatively mute of late. This one, for example, look how nasty this one was. I'm a bull, I'm a bull, no, you're not. See ya. So sometimes these can be just horrific events here in the market. So we've been talking about this one for a while. Here we are coming up into this Fed event here. There is some talk that maybe the Fed will go on pause this go round. I don't know. Tough to say. If anything, I think it would actually be better for the market if they just raised rates and got them to the point where they were comfortably above inflation. We see the inflation numbers have peaked, and then we don't have to worry about raising rates anymore. If they're going to start going, well, we're going to take a pause this month. Maybe we're done. Maybe we're not. We're data dependent, all that kind of stuff. And this means this can drag on for months and months and months. I suppose probably for fun, we should just go over and check into our Fed spread. And I always say that this is the best way to understand what's going to happen in the market going forward. And don't listen to talking heads. They're kind of pointless. Let's just listen to the data. So we know based on our 4-year sine wave, we should be coming to the end of this rate increasing cycle. We should be nearing it. But and keep in mind that the purple is the actual Fed. And of course, in years gone by, we've used the T-bills, actually the US government, but we all know the US government's bankrupt. So that's why we have to use the Fed funds rates, right? Which is nothing more than just the cartel of banksters who are actually backstopping this market. So the point here is that the Fed funds, because they don't want to raise rates if they don't have to, they're just going to be following the market. And the market is the orange rates. That's the euro dollar market. And for us to actually believe that there is a bottom or a top in rates, but a bottom in these euro dollar prices, we need to see a W. So it is encouraging, I'll say that much, that orange lines here are trying to W out. I don't know whether I can do this or not. Which pane is this? Yeah, there we go. I guess that's that one. There we go. So do we have a W yet? We have a V bottom. We bounced up, and now we're kind of rolling over here. And you can see, if the Fed does decide to pause, this thing will probably get bid up a bit. The sort of crisis in the banking sector barometer sitting at 0.39. No crises in the banking sector now. All those recent banks that got their caught by the short and curlies, I think they flushed out those weak hands, and the banking sector is probably relatively stable right now. If, however, this thing starts cranking down and the Fed does not respond, and this thing starts going up like this again, and we get above 1.0 on this ratio, then, we've got problems. So not really that big of a deal right now. I suppose it's encouraging that we bounced off the lows. I'm also suggesting to people that we keep a close eye, if you are interested in this stuff, just keep a close eye on, what the hell chart is, I guess, over here, on the bond market. Because the bond market's been zipping all over the place here. So if we go maybe like to a daily chart, You can see bonds have been trying to stabilize here. The whole reason why we topped out and started cranking down there was because we're starting to see M's in the bond prices. And of course, this means that interest rates are going up. So, a little bit concerning. You can start to see the M's coming back here. And more importantly, the 2-year note, it's sort of like the market's proxy on Fed policy going forward. So if you see this emming out and breaking to new lows, then it probably means the Fed's got to continue raising rates. Yeah, are we already at a half an hour? Geez, that went quick. 5 minutes left. All right, well, that's not so bad. So what we probably want to be watching for is, do we start to get market structure signals below this trend line? Yeah, we'll see how it goes. As it stands right now, they are pointing down. We'll see how this acts into the actual Fed announcement. If this thing can go in W, then hey, maybe we got something and they're done raising rates. So this will be one that I'll be watching fairly closely here going forward. And I think I was talking about that in the site this morning. You can see first thing out of the gate this morning, they were just dumping the bonds hard as the stock market was rallying to new highs there. And it was like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. But things have stabilized a bit. Why? Because it looks like the stock market has calmed down a bit. One thing I would say about the stock market is we are still up at this megaphone top, and it's quite a megaphone top indeed. Remember, we had talked about this on Bitcoin recently, that there is that megaphone. I think the stock market's doing exactly the same thing. I've said repeatedly that I think that Bitcoin and crypto is actually an excellent leading indicator for the economy. And I think that the stock market is sort of up in this area of the megaphone now. It's probably about a month, maybe even, let's call it a month ahead of the stock market. So you can see that megaphone. You can see how the market acted, losing that megaphone level, especially emming out there on the other side of that. I don't see any reason why that won't happen in the stock market. And you can see how the market went up into these levels, and it's been one hell of a war here against this level. And I suppose our message that, yes, indeed, this market has topped, and there's the FOMC. My hunch is we're going to do some sort of M. As soon as that M comes in and we start to show some sign of failure here, market structure wise, then I think the bull's over and get ready. All hell's going to break loose to the downside. I think you saw yesterday in Julian's report, he had talked about market sentiment and how, we even showed, I thought it was funny in the members lounge this morning when I woke up. What is the news headlines around the world? Basically, the public, this is what the message the public is being spoon fed right now. It's officially, we're in a bull market. It's official, excuse me. It's official. We're in a bull market. Uh-oh. That's not good. If anything, as all classic contrarians, we should look at that and go, yeah, you know what? I don't know. That's a little dangerous. And if anything, another good example, when you see the fear greed index here up into these areas, that's got to be a big warning sign. So, looking at this chart and talking about megaphones in crypto and Bitcoin, I don't think it should surprise us that once we get on the other side of this FOMC event, there could be a sizable pullback in the market here. So be forewarned, people. Since we are basically at a half an hour, there really isn't a hell of a lot to add to the equation with regard to crypto. All I'll say, of course, we'll do another sort of extended piece over the weekend through the broiler chicken show on crypto. I wouldn't be surprised if we go A, B, C, D, and maybe come up. There's a whole bunch of trap bulls right up in this wick, right up in here, that I think would love to be released. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do that into that FOMC event. And keep in mind, the FOMC event is Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's actually at about 1:30 on Wednesday afternoon. That's when you should be like, oh boy, get ready, all hell could break loose. So believe it or not, all we're doing is a doji here today. I will say the broader crypto market, if you go through the list, this link's a good example. Yes, I did hear Julian say that he was very interested in looking at Link down here. RSI studies are nearing sort of oversold conditions. Maybe we're holding on to trends, but just look at that. That looks like lower highs and lower lows. And of course, for us to be bullish, we want to be seeing W's, please. Can I please have some W's? So I don't know how long this is going to take to turn around. It might take a while. I suppose you could argue, well, what the hell is that, Brian? That looks like a V bottom when we went straight up following that. Maybe, but I don't know. I'm from Missouri, right? And I'm an old gnarly guy. I like to see some sort of bullish. I mean, I suppose if we got a nice little empire, we got an inverted shooting star. The inside joke about social media influencers and crypto. Maybe we have something to work with, but we did do some serious. This just happens to be one name that is pretty popular in the space. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. In fact, on Wednesday we did a show with the Coinigy people, and unfortunately, on that Wednesday show, I kind of pointed out that hey, we gotta. Actually, I did this tweet yesterday. This was so freaking cool. I mean, there's the broader crypto market. I still think it's working a short. I don't really see anything changing here. But I did this study yesterday, and I was actually, and this is a really good way to finish this video. There's a million different ways to skin this cat. And it's sort of like, what's the best way to show this to you? You can be short Bitcoin, right? So you can play this side of the market, or you can actually be long the short proxies. That's this side of the market. Isn't that interesting? That's absolutely fascinating because basically this is the same trade. And what I wanted to show you was although I don't know when. Anyway, maybe we'll dig into it on the weekend show. The long and short of it here is this is actually a setup that we teach in the school program where you have a confirmed bullish divergence in MACD down at the bottom end of a trading range. Willie's stupidly oversold, and then you have market structure that comes in, and a move back to the 50% rule is greater than a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. That's an El Tangonator. And this is going long. And then at the very same time, this is the 3-step setup, in essence, trade location, 4.669s, and confirmed bearish divergence. We have 2 double divergences here in RSI and bearish structure on the Bitcoin price itself. And this is a short, our 3-step setup. So it's quite remarkable that if you're the type of person, look at Brian, I only like to buy. And so I can't really take this Bitcoin short because that means shorting, not buying. Okay, well, you could always consider the bear ETF proxies, right? This is Bitcoin down on like Binance. So I thought that was fascinating in that, in essence, they're exactly the same trade. There are 2 setups that we teach you in our education program, and they're going the exact opposite direction in the market. And yet they're basically the same trade. I thought that was incredible. So that's sort of the market state for you right now. I'd also say, too, probably finish this off, and maybe we'll get into this more over the weekend. And Ben, if you're out there, I'd love to have you on one of these Friday shows. We have Litecoin coming into a halvening event. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit more in the after party. If I'm not mistaken, I think the halvening event here is something like the middle of July or beginning of August. And usually Litecoin likes to top out about a month or so ahead of that event. So not a big surprise to see Litecoin's kind of stalling out here. And I even put a tweet out recently that usually what ends up happening is the market rallies into the Litecoin halving event. Usually the top is, somewhere around a month or so ahead of the event. And then the market likes to bottom about 6 months ahead of the Bitcoin halving event, which we know is in next April. So 6 months ahead of that would be this September, October. So if anything, it makes perfect sense. And you can even see we're starting to get momentum failure signals. Looks like Willie got stupidly overbought. We got bearish MACD divergences confirmed. Put it all together. Seeing a top come in here in crypto through this period actually aligns with this kind of thinking as well. Okay, I think I'll leave the rant at that. Gonna go over and hang out with Marat here for the next little bit. Talk relative rotation. Man, he had the coolest relative rotation study for us to review there. I can't remember the name of the symbol, but we'll look at it afterward. It was a perfect pick. So I'd be really curious to see what his relative rotation studies are telling us to think now. Okay, everybody, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. All the best. The only left price is bye for now.